You hear the term machine learning thrown around constantly, right? But what does it actually mean? How does a computer really learn anything? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the core techniques, from predicting the future to finding patterns hidden deep in the world around us. Yeah, that's really the big question, isn't it? The best way to think about it is like this. A normal computer program is like a recipe. You give it super strict step-by-step instructions, and it follows them perfectly. But a machine learning model? That's more like a chef who tastes, thousands of different ingredients and then figures out the recipe on their own, just by spotting the patterns. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into the basics of what it means to learn from data. Then we'll hit the big fork in the road, the two main styles of machine learning. After that, we'll dive into three really powerful techniques for predicting, classifying, and grouping stuff. And we'll wrap up by figuring out how you pick the right tool for the job. Okay, so let's get right into it. What are we really talking about when we say learning from data? At its heart, it's like asking a computer to be a detective, to just sift through these huge mountains of information and find the hidden clues, the patterns that actually answer a question we have. And that's the big idea right there. It's a total shift in thinking. Instead of a person, a programmer, trying to write rules for every single possibility, the algorithm learns the rules by itself. That's the difference between being programmed and being trained. And it's what lets a machine handle all the messy, unpredictable data in the real world that a human could never possibly write rules for. So this brings us to the first major fork in the road. Once you have all your data, you've got to make a choice. And the path you take really depends on your goal. And, more than anything, on the type of data you're actually working with. Honestly, it boils down to this really simple idea. With supervised learning, you're basically the teacher. You give the machine data that already has the right answers labeled. But with unsupervised learning, you kind of just let the machine go explore. You give it a bunch of unlabeled data and you just ask, hey, what interesting patterns can you find in here, all by yourself? Okay, so let's make this real. With supervised learning, the whole goal is prediction. You feed it a history of house sales where you know the final price, so it can learn to predict the price of a new house. Simple. But with unsupervised learning, the goal is discovery. You just give it raw customer data and it finds the hidden groups for you. Maybe it spits out segments like budget shoppers or weekend big spenders that you didn't even know existed. All right, let's head down that supervised path first. Our first major technique is called regression, and its one and only job is to predict a specific number. This right here, it solves a super common problem you see absolutely everywhere. If we know certain things, can we predict a number in the future? Like, if we know our marketing budget and the time of year, can we predict next quarter's sales? That is a perfect job for regression. So, what's happening under the hood? Well, the algorithm is basically trying to draw a line, or maybe a curve, through all your data points. It's searching for that single best fit line that gets as close as possible to all the data you have by trying to make the total error as small as possible. Once it finds that line, it can predict where a new data point is going to land. And you see this technique literally everywhere. It's used to forecast stock prices, it's used to estimate what a house is worth, and even to predict how intense wildfires might get. Basically, if your question is how much or how many, there's a really good chance regression is the tool you need. Okay, we're still on team supervised learning, but now we're going to ask a totally different kind of question. Instead of predicting a number, what if we need to predict a category? That's where classification comes in. Instead of a continuous number, we're looking for a specific label. Is this email spam or not spam? Is this medical image showing something cancerous? Or is it benign? Is this customer about to leave us, or are they gonna stay? And the whole trick is this. The model gets trained on data that's already been sorted into the right buckets. It learns what a spam email tends to look like versus a not spam email, so when a new one comes in, it can make a pretty good guess on its own. One of the most popular ways to do this is with something called a decision tree. It's super intuitive. It's basically just a flowchart. It learns to ask a series of simple if-then questions. Let's just follow this one, right? First, it asks, is the patient middle-aged? If yes, boom, drug B. If no, it has to ask another question. Is the patient female? A yes gets you drug A, while a no sends you back to drug B. See? It's just a simple path to a clear decision. All right, time to hop over to the other side of the tracks. Unsupervised learning. And remember, over here, we have no answer key. We are just giving the algorithm a big pile of data and asking it to find the structure that's already hiding inside. This is exactly what clustering is for. Just imagine your streaming service with millions of users. You don't have these neat, predefined user types, but you really want to understand your audience. Well, clustering can just analyze all their listening habits and discover those groups for you. A good way to picture it is like you're plotting stars in the night sky. The algorithm looks for natural constellations. It finds stars that are close to each other and draws a circle around them, separating them from all the other stars that are far away. And the amazing part is, the algorithm figures out what close means and finds these constellations all by itself. But really, its magic is in pure discovery. It's used to find new customer segments for a marketing campaign, or to find hidden patterns in genetic data. And it's incredible for finding the odd one out. For example, a fraudulent credit card purchase often looks so different from your normal spending habits that it ends up in its own tiny, isolated cluster, which makes it super easy to flag. Okay, so let's recap. We've got these 3 awesome tools in our toolkit: regression for predicting numbers, classification for picking categories, and clustering for finding hidden groups. So the big question is, how do you know which tool to pull out of the toolbox? Well, it always comes back to the question you're trying to answer. If you need to predict a number, you use regression. If you need to assign a label or a category, you use classification. And if you just want to discover what groups might exist in your data, you use clustering. It's that simple. The goal always defines the technique. And I think this is the most important thing to remember. Machine learning isn't some contest to see who can build the most complicated, mind-bending algorithm. True success means really deeply understanding the problem you're trying to solve, and then picking the simplest tool that actually gets the job done. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of how machines learn to predict, to classify, and to discover. Now that we have these incredible tools at our disposal, the real question becomes, what important problems should we point them at next? Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer.